always be the beautiful I sing about. There ain't no limitations to your amazing grace, your amazing grace. And there's something about the way your love shines on my face. Oh no, I can never get enough of you. This feeling can't be wrong. I'm about to get my worship on. I'm gonna sing a brand new song. Yeah, I'm about to get my worship on. Take me away on this beautiful day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a beautiful day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a beautiful day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a beautiful day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Such a beautiful day.
Hello, and thank you for joining me. It is a great day to be alive. Let's start this segment off with some self-love, some self-care, because April is one of those months where it's like April showers, we're real druggy, we're in the bed, we're sleeping, but I want you to wake up, shake up, and get up, because God is doing a new thing, and he's moving, he's shifting, and you don't want to miss what he's about to do. So put your right hand out, your left hand out, cross it over, give yourself a hug and say, I love me some me.
Yes.
And because you love yourself, you're going to do in and everything that keeps your peace and your sanity. So if you're around people, you know, that are, I don't know, negative Nancy's, I'm going to cross my leg on that one. It's time to move them out and surround you with some actual positive people that can say, go girl, oh my God, you rocking that, you killed that. Or as the children say now, you ate. Oh, I got that one right, Trinity. Yes, yes, yes. So my guest on today is none other than, once upon a time, she was Coach D to me, but she's Lady D. Denitra Forrest is here to empower us ladies just to know what we need to do with our finances. And then we're going to transition into this new thing, this new glow that she has. So welcome back, my sister.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Tammie.
Absolutely. It's always an honor.
Always.
But I just have to, you know, when I saw you, I was like, that's Lady D. She's killing the game. She is rocking and she is making it happen, because you have literally transformed.
Yes.
I mean, just from transitioning Coach D. And let's go back, because those that don't know your story, you were a ball player,
Yep.
enjoying life. Then God gives you a gift and you have to transform. So I don't want to tell you a story. Let's just go back real briefly, and then we're going to kind of coast on down to where you are this day.
Okay. So I'm a small town homegirl from Louisville, Mississippi. That's, of course, where I started playing basketball.
Yeah.
That's where I was known from. I was Miss Basketball for the state of Mississippi my senior year, which my talents led me to Ole Miss, and I played ball there from 04 to 08.
Okay.
Got my degree. And when it was time for me to go play professional ball, I ended up getting pregnant.
How was that for you?
That was a devastating time for me. But I made my bed, so I had to lie in. And I've always been like that because of my parents.
Yeah.
And so I decided to stay home and be with my son. And even after I had him, I didn't go overseas and play professional ball because I didn't want to leave him.
Yes.
So God just kind of moved me into something else. That was a hard time for me. Anybody who is an athlete knows that when you have certain dreams and desires, you have your mind set on that. So anything else that comes after athletics, it's like mind blowing.
Yeah.
So I had to readjust, and I started off working at a law firm as a debt collector, which is funny because now I help people get out of debt.
God set you up. You just didn't know back then.
Yes, he did. And eventually, after my son was almost 2, I started coaching in the MAC-JC, and that's the Mississippi Athletic Association with the junior colleges.
Yeah.
I started off at Jones Junior College as an assistant coach and was able to go ahead and move forward at Coahoma Community College, was a head coach. And that's when God started transitioning my life from mentoring girls on the basketball court, mentoring them throughout their time as an athlete, to mentoring people across the nation.
And it's amazing how you had to actually, you know, like you say, go to the community college to be in the right place, the right position to mentor these young ladies because they needed you.
Yes.
What were some of the things that you saw more than anything? It's like, that's not what my mom and dad taught me. I need to really inspire and empower these young ladies. What thing just stood out the most that you knew, okay, etiquette? What was it?
Well, especially with the area when I was in the Delta
Mm-hmm.
for the longest. This is my longest stint. Um, they were they were set back
Mm-hmm.
years, and a lot of those kids came from broken homes, and a lot of those kids came from families who were gang members, and that
Yeah.
was just so that was like a whole new world for me. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I grew up with my dad in the church as a pastor's daughter,
Yeah.
and so coming into a situation where you have to mentor a child who never had any of those
Mm-hmm.
things in their lives, and they had to actually for real get it out the mud.
My God.
And you know, I welcome many kids in my home because of that reason,
Mm-hmm.
to give them a different perspective. Like,
Yeah.
listen, you don't just because you came from here don't mean you have to stay here.
Right.
You know, you can grow past this. There's more out there than
Mhm.
this. That's why it was big for me to treat them to like a nice dinner at a hibachi restaurant.
And I think that was an
something.
experience that beyond words for them,
Yes,
wasn't
and
it?
a lot of them would tell me that, "Oh, Coach, I ain't never been to a place like this." And you know,
Wow.
I loved and enjoyed giving them those type of experiences
Mm-hmm.
and being a mentor to them.
Yeah. And then not only that, that mentor, but they were touching a part of your heart as
Mhm.
well. Because as women, sometimes we can be guarded
Mhm.
or we can have these walls up. But would you say that you were able to grow even as a woman, as a mother during
Definitely,
those times?
definitely. I definitely grew in ways that I never thought I would.
Mm-hmm.
My first month there, well, a few couple of months there, one of my players was tragically
Mhm.
shot in the head,
Yeah.
and to see how God kept her.
Yeah.
I didn't say she died.
Kept her. She's still alive.
She's still alive. She was able to bounce back from that. Her name is Shaquana Sledge. She was able to bounce back from that and had to learn how to do everything back over and walking, talking, all of that. And she worked hard. By the time my last year I was there, because she was there my first year, and we ended up having to let her, recover.
Yeah.
She never was able to come back to basketball, but she was able to come back to school
Mhm.
my last year there. And I was so happy, and just to see how far God had brought her. So just to see those type of situations, and that grew my faith.
Yes.
Because, here I am looking at a person who the doctors were like, they've never seen anybody survive a wound like that.
Mm-hmm.
And to see how God kept her and brought her from that, that helped grow me not only as a person, but spiritually.
Wow. I'm telling you, God knows what he's doing at all times. Many times we think that it's a trial or tribulation, it's going to take the life out of us, but it grows us. It actually matures us to a place that we never thought that we could ever just walk in.
Definitely.
Wow. Coaching. And then, like you said, you were working a law firm with, debt, and all of a sudden, did you dread that job? I just felt that a little bit. Or was it like, okay, I want more from my life during that time?
I definitely dreaded it. I felt bad because, I put elderly people in situations where, hey, I was able to talk them into paying for stuff that they didn't have the money to pay for.
Yeah.
I did not like that at all. So I wanted to get back to the sports world. I just didn't know how or which way I was going to get there.
Yeah.
But I knew I was going to work hard to get there so that I can get away from doing that. That was just a moment in time just to help get me some income coming in so that I can get back on my feet.
Wow. After coaching, after you went through the faith journey there with your former player, when did you know that God was about to really like birth out something great with finances? Did you have to step out in faith, or did something that happened in your life where you realized that, okay, God, if you don't do this, it won't be done? How did you know?
Well, I had to get my own self together, my own finances together. That's where the whole move started. That's where the whole move started. And so I eventually started doing it part-time, where, hey, when I'm not coaching, or when I have some downtime, I can help other people do this, because basically I'm just a middleman, just introducing the people to the company who actually does the work. Eventually I started growing, and it just grew so fast, Tammie. Like, it was hard for me to catch up. It was hard for me to keep up. It was growing so fast. And so I started praying a prayer where I was like, Lord, please help me get, I'm not happy here. I don't want to raise my son here. Please help me get to another situation where I'll be at another school. I was thinking, honestly, initially, I was going to be coaching at another school.
Wow.
Until God showed me that, hey, I got something bigger for you. I just need you to trust me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I finally, after fighting it, I said, you know what? I'm going to trust you, God. And I wrote my letter of resignation. And
On
once
faith.
on faith, on nothing but faith. And once I turned it in, I felt like so much weight had been lifted off of my shoulders.
Yeah.
That's how I knew it was more of a God thing than anything, because I wanted more time with my son. Because at that time, I'm a single mom.
Mm-hmm.
So I was having to have my manager, my living, she's my goddaughter now.
Mm-hmm.
That's my baby now. I met her through coaching. She was my manager. I had to let her pick my baby up from school when I'm on the road. Help him with his homework when I'm not there. Putting him on into bed.
So you had no mommy time at all.
I hardly had no mommy time, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like that feeling anymore.
Yeah.
And I wanted something more where I could dedicate more time to my son and
Mm-hmm.
not to nothing bad about it, but not to other people's children.
Right, absolutely. So you prayed this prayer.
Mm-hmm.
God tells you to, honestly, he just confirms, move in faith, put in the resignation, there's a release, and then voila, the opportunity arises that you never saw coming.
Mm-hmm.
The business takes off.
The business takes off.
But you had to start with yourself.
I did.
Okay, so if I remember correctly, I think you said, Miss Tammie, my credit score was low.
Mm-hmm. It was busted and disgusted.
Yeah.
It was. And I with devotion time, I would write down my goals of what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be, and how I no longer wanted to have to call my daddy to buy something for me.
Yeah.
Or depend on my daddy to do things for me. If he does it, okay, but I don't want to have to depend on that in order for it to happen. So that's when I started to transition and to grow, and I just started growing mentally. I started growing emotionally. I grew in every aspect of my life.
Yeah. And that's when, I keep saying when, the transition took place, because you're like, Lord, show me. I want to be who you've called me to be, and not be so sufficient on my father, but I want to trust the Father.
Yes.
And I love it because I remember when I saw your first post, I was like, there's a major new thing going on here, God. Okay. And I like it. Women, we have to be able to cheer each other on, celebrate with one another.
Yes.
And when you win, I win. Instead of going, what's she doing? No, the negativity has to go.
That's right.
And so when we see one another, whisper a prayer, send a text message, or put in their DM, hey, keep going. You're blessing me. I'm cheering you on, those type of things.
Yes.
And even if you don't, just know that God is there pushing you along.
That's right.
When did you know that you were in your element? When you received that first deposit, that check, when were you know that this is it? I'm right where I belong?
Honestly, it's funny that you say that, because when I received my first big check, like, I didn't realize that I was about to get paid that much. My mentors, and they had seen it before I did. So they called me, and it was like, Coach D, hey, you see your check for tomorrow? And I was like, no. And they said, well, go ahead and go check it. And so I went, logged in, and I looked at it, and I just busted out crying, because I've never been paid that much at one time. And I was like, I just couldn't even say anything. I was just in tears and so thankful. And I'm like, wow, like, Lord, you did this for me. Like, you made this possible. He didn't just do it one time. He did it over and over and over.
My God.
And that's just when I knew that it was something much more bigger than me. It was something that I had to say, let more of you, God, and less of me, because this is a field that I know nothing about, that I'm just learning myself.
Yes. And
you have given me all of this amazing success. And so I just really had to just be thankful to God that He brought me there. The person that just doesn't know. And I told the young lady, I said, I can't teach anybody about finances when my finances are jacked up. I can't do that. And she was like, no, you're going to tell them your story, your testimony. You're going to have a story as well.
Yes.
So I'm just excited to say, I had a story as well. And God seemed fit for me to be able to share that with many people. Not just in Mississippi, but all across the United States.
And that's such a blessing. Enlarge your territory, but it started small. And He took that mess, and now you actually have a message, and it's ministry.
Yep.
you're in your ministry zone.
Yes.
And that's what most people, when you talk about finances, would you agree? A lot of people get embarrassed.
They do.
They shy away from it or they lie
Mm-hmm.
until you see the truth. And it's like, okay, let's work on a plan here.
Right.
What has been the greatest aha moment or testimony from a client?
Oh, it's so many. But I would just say, just helping a single mom purchase her own home,
Mm-hmm.
and her sending me her results of, it took her from, let's say, low 500s into way up above, and she's not having to pay a cosigner or anything.
Amen.
When people text me things like that, that just it makes my heart smile, because I was able to be a part of their testimony.
Yeah.
I don't take that for granted. I appreciate each and every one of my clients who are able to come in and just have a transformation in their lives, for not only themselves, but when they get to celebrate with their children, and their husbands, and their families. So it's a beautiful thing to be able to share those moments with people.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I want you to share just 3 tips for those that are watching, our viewers,
Mm-hmm.
things they can do now to just start on their financial journey to build their credit score. Just some simple things.
Yeah.
And in hopes that they'll just connect with you, so that they can, kind of get the real package or the real entity of everything. But just 3 simple tips.
One major thing that a lot of people don't realize is with their credit cards. You feel like you get a $1,000 credit card. I can spend $1,000 on that credit card, which no, you cannot. Honestly, on those credit cards, if you go over 30% of your credit card utilization rate, and that's 30% of whatever your limit is.
Yeah.
If you go over 30% of your limit, then that's going to bring your credit score down.
Wow.
So a big part of a person's credit score is their payment history. It's like 30 to 35% of a person's credit score is their payment history. So what I tell my clients, and people who are not my clients, I let them know, hey, with your credit card, each month, let's say you have to pay it by the 15th. Well, let's split that one payment up into 2 payments. So if you're paying $100 on the 15th every month, pay $50 15 days before your due date. And that's the date that they report to the credit bureau. So you make sure you call your companies and ask, what day do you report to the credit bureaus?
That's smart.
And you pay half of it 15 days before, and the remaining half 3 days before that 15. We call it the 15 to 3 credit card hack.
Oh, wow.
So that's going to create more positive payment history.
Y'all just learned something.
The more positive payment history that you create, the higher it's going to boost your score, as if you were, instead of just paying one time a month. So you need to split that payment up into 2 payments, pay 15 days before and then 3 days before that cycle date. And then that's going to create more positive credit history for you, and also help boost your score faster than it would if you were just paying one time a month.
Okay, noted. So that's the first one.
That's one. Also, budgeting. I never budgeted because I had my daddy's pocketbook. I'm just going to be honest. I didn't budget at all, because I knew once my money was gone, hey, Daddy, can I? And here's my card, baby.
And what was his response every time?
Well, here go my card, baby. Well, Ruby, I'm driving right now. Ruby, get my card. Here's my card number, baby. And that was just it. And that's all I knew.
Yes, yes, and yes.
Honestly, even as a head coach, my dad was still paying my cell phone bill.
Wow.
Every month. He was. And so when I started to budget, because with the program that we have, there's a budgeting part of it, where it teaches you how to budget and how to stick to that. And that was one of the big factors for me. Like that helped me a lot. Budgeting, learning how to budget, and learning how to set money to the side and not touch it.
Yeah.
We set money to the side. We put money in our savings account all the time, and then we go transfer that money back over to our checking.
Yes.
Well, we need to keep it over there in our savings.
It's
so
actually, great to have it in a bank account where you don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
That it works for me where I don't see it, or in another state, because I lived in another state before. So if it's not here close to me, then I don't see it. And honestly, I've forgotten about it until my daughter, Mom, what about the other card? What?
The other card. Yes.
Like you, they remember and they know. And I'm just like, oh, I do have money over there. So if you don't see it, you forget about it.
You forget about it.
Okay, so that's a great nugget to save. Continue on.
And with your budget, and keep that budget. And just one last thing, I would say, even with just saving just for yourself, teaching your kids how to save.
Mhm.
Because listen, the places that we end up in financially, it's a generational thing.
Yeah.
So when you want to break a generational curse, then yes, you need to go ahead and teach your children
Mhm.
how to do that. And that's what I love about this program as well, is that we go into the schools and we teach kids
That's
how
phenomenal.
about finances. We teach them about the importance of the power of credit
Oh, wow.
and all of that. So I also not only focus on adults, but I focus on children as
Mhm.
well.
That's phenomenal. Because
Mhm.
like you said, it is generational because the only thing they know is what we see
Yep.
and what we give them. If you
Yep.
and I'm big on this. Some people don't agree with it because I've heard, some of my friends say, well, I want my daughter, my son to live better than I did. But we still have to teach
You
them,
have to set them up
correct
for
them,
that.
work. It's
Mhm.
okay to work, physically work,
Yep.
saving, budgeting. And I always tell my daughter, I say, is it a need or is it a want?
That's right.
Do you need that or do you want that?
That's right.
I guarantee you that you could save money because you don't really, you just want that
You just want it
in the moment.
Yep.
That's the biggest
Yep.
thing. Look, you're like me
Makeup.
with my contacts. The lighting and the
Yes.
contacts.
Yes.
But there was a tear of joy because you just transformed. I hear you, Holy Ghost. I heard you on that one. There was a tear of joy because he's about to rain down some blessings that you
Yes.
have not even seen as
I
of yet.
received that.
Oh, I saw that when it fell down. Thank you, Holy Ghost. Thank you,
I
Jesus.
received
Glory
that.
be to God. And that's because you've been faithful. There have been some sacrifices that you have made. People don't even know.
Yeah.
And things that you've given because you're such a giver. You give
Mhm.
your last to make sure that someone else,
I really would.
has. And so
Yes.
because of that, I hear the Lord saying that there are going to be some blessings that are going to rain down on you that you have. It's like you've said, that would be nice. He said, I'm going to give you the desires of your heart.
I believe it.
Even with your upcoming wedding. And that's how you transform in my heart from
Yes.
Coach D to Lady,
Lady
D.
D.
You have transformed to be this beautiful,
Yes.
gorgeous, elegant, classy woman of God. And
Thank
I
you
just
so
want to
much.
say the blessing looks good on you.
Thank you so
The
much.
blessing looks good on you. Even from the hair, I'm just
Yes.
like the locks. I love it. The
Yes.
natural, the beauty.
Because I never did the natural.
No.
Ever.
So we're going to talk about, I know you guys, we've talked about the finances with
Mhm.
Coach D. We've talked about the job, the coaching transition, but anything in life, you have to be able to listen to God and shift. And she has shifted from, I had to make a decision. Okay, I have to have my son. Am I going to go back on the road, to professional ball? Nope. I got to be a mother. Family is
Mhm.
always first.
Yes.
Many people miss it because they want to work, and make money.
Yes.
Family is first. And I'll say that because there were opportunities that came and my daughter was young. And to hear you say that you chose your son blessed me. The day you said, I was like, thank you, Lord.
Yeah.
She said, do you regret not taking some of those opportunities in television because you had me? And I was like, no,
Of course not. Yeah.
no, you are my first ministry.
Mhm.
And I think her hearing that just kind of liberated her to say, okay,
Yeah.
because she was in the car that day when an opportunity came and I would have moved out of Mississippi, to be honest.
Yeah.
And the money was great, but all money is not good money.
That's right.
And people have to understand that sometimes that you can be working a job, but you're not at peace and you're not in your purpose. So to hear you say that blessed me. But the transitions that you've made and what you're about to do, and look, a few months or so, it's going to be life-changing for you.
It is.
So let's just talk about the glow. Because I'm
Yes.
telling you, Coach D no longer exists. It's Lady D, honey.
Thank
Baby,
you.
it's Lady D. And it looks fabulous on you.
It feels good too.
Wow. Let's talk about it because prior relationships, you had these walls up, these barriers.
Yes.
What were you doing in the moment of saying, or did you even think about love again? Or was it like, I'm going to work, I don't have time for that? What was your mindset?
At that time when my fiance came back into my life, he's an amazing man. Amazing. I thank God for him every day. At that time when he came in is when my mom was still healing from her stroke.
Yeah.
And right before my mom had her stroke, I had taken a position to help a friend out, one of my best friends. She's the head coach at Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College.
Yeah.
Her assistant had just left.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like 3 weeks before season started.
Wow.
So she has
3
all
weeks.
these things going on in her head. I'm like, you know what? I said, hey, hope I'll just come down and help you out, finish this year out with you.
Yeah.
And until you can bring in who you want. Because, I'm working for myself. I can still do my job. And she was like, yeah, you can still do this, and that, and the other. That was in September, coming into October, going into November. That was
Mhm.
October. But we had no idea what was to come.
Wow.
The Friday before Thanksgiving, my mother suffered a stroke,
Mhm.
and I tried to juggle going to see after my dad,
Mhm.
helping him with. I would go home after a game,
Yeah.
even get to the
Wow.
house 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning, probably sometimes 3. Go ahead and start doing the laundry because my dad didn't know how to wash clothes. My mom did all of
Yeah.
that. And just to get the house together for him. And it was on Christmas Day. Mom had gone into the hospital, of course. They had a life-saving surgery for her. And it's amazing how God can take broken pieces and heal you, and broken pieces will save you.
Yes.
And I say that because what saved my mother, not what God used to save my mom,
Wow.
was a fracture in her neck that we knew nothing about.
Nothing about.
We knew nothing about it. And we said, well, did this fracture come when she had a stroke? And they said, no, this is an old fracture within the past 6 months. And I do remember her falling, saying, hey, my neck hurt. And I said, well, maybe you slept wrong.
Mhm.
But it was actually a fracture. And that helped save her life to keep the clot from going into her brain and bursting.
My God.
They found out about that in the surgery at 2 o'clock in the morning.
So there was a blood clot.
Yes, that moved up, and it would have gone into her brain. It was at the base of her brain. It would have gone further into her brain had it not been for that
Fracture.
That fracture. So God took a broken piece, and I feel like He does that with us as individuals. He takes broken pieces and He produces miracles out of them. Because I was just a broken piece. And even when I had to call my friend and let her know I hated to do this because this was going to be the second coach the same year that had to leave her high and dry. And I said, listen, it was on Christmas Day, and I was in the emergency room with my mom. They had transferred her there. Her heartbeat was super low, in the 20s. Her blood pressure was extremely low. Her eyes were starting to even dry up, the doctor told me. And I called her and I said, I'm not gonna be able to come back. I gotta stay here with Mom. I gotta help her through this. And that was such I brought that up because that happened on Christmas Day. And so she said she understood, and I hated to do that. And Mom ended up coming back and having a full recovery.
To God be the glory.
Yes, after a stroke, she had internal bleeding to deal with. She had to learn how to walk, talk, everything all over back again. So I spent those 47 days with her.
My God.
And and I brought that up to say, my best friend, she told me, she said, D, God gonna bring you your husband after this.
Did you believe her?
I didn't. And that was the second time not only that she had told me, but September, the before she told me that, my mentor in the business, she said, you're about to get married. And I said, girl, how am I get married? I don't even have a boyfriend. And I laughed at her. I literally laughed at her.
That's the second time you heard it.
That was the second time I had heard it. And I laughed at her. And she said, God gonna bless you for your sacrifice. She said, you're making a huge sacrifice. And I said, well, I'm not doing it for him to do that. I'm doing this for my mama.
I hear this. You were doing it for your mama. But what are one of the 10 commandments? Honor thy mother and their father. And it was a sacrifice, and God saw you. But that was a strong union.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I hear you, Holy Ghost. The mother and the father, you're a strong union, a blessed covenant. So in your serving, God, he just served you.
Yes.
What you were so desiring.
Yes.
So here you are, still in denial.
Still not even thinking about that. And even when his name is Latero, when he first started reaching out, because he would check on my mom, I didn't even realize he had things going on with his mother.
Yeah.
Like he was always just checking on me, always so supportive with me, and making sure I was okay. I never seen it coming, and I would even sometimes shy away from him.
Yeah.
He would invite me out, and I said, no, I got to do
walls.
this. And I didn't have anything to do, Tammie. I was at the house with my mom and daddy, just taking care of them in my own little world. And then finally, I kind of started letting the walls down. And I said, well, it won't hurt. Let me give it a try.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yes.
About to miss the biggest blessing the Lord is He's trying to serve you in the presence of your enemies. I'm good. No, thank you.
Oh, no.